Did you
All
tweet it
right,
yet?
we're live right now, guys, on BerryFlow Upstream number 17. Start of season 2. We went through 16 episodes a lot quicker than I thought we would, but here we are, continuing it on. A lot of news to actually talk about. Just a lot kind of going on post Passport launch. I'm here tonight with Brandon and Alex. How are you both doing this evening?
What's up? Yeah, what's
Great.
up?
Brandon's like, what? We have seasons?
Oh, that's news to
Yeah.
me.
Just for organizational sake, essentially, like each season is going to be a quarter. So we started Upstream before a quarter, cover the quarter, and now we're on to the next one. So you can kind of have a little bit more organization. Because right
So
now,
every season,
Alex had recently brought up to me that we're just kind of doing Upstream number whatever on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
There's not a lot of SEO value there, so we're adding in titles and making it more episodic, so it's easier to follow along. But how you guys doing so far? How's your Sunday
good.
been?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Yeah.
I'm all the way up
Brando's
in
not home.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere now. Last time I was in Spain, now I'm all the way up in northern Ontario in the middle of nowhere.
Damn.
So it's upstream all over the world, it seems like.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool to have like a bunch of people from different regions all on at the same time. It's just so hard to coordinate. Like people I know overseas right now, it's like the middle of the morning. Like they're starting to wake up. So anyway, let's get started here. Let's talk about the passport. I mean, that was kind of the big news about 2 weeks ago when it officially kind of launched out in the world. Alex was there over in Toronto at the event. There's been a lot of talk about how well it's been doing. It seems to be consistently selling out. Do you guys think this is attributed to kind of low quantities at first to gauge the market, or do you think this thing is really just selling out of all the inventory they've even kind of foreseen that they'd need to sell?
Yeah, I mean I don't think they really were planning on it selling like crazy. Like I think Chen has even said that, the classic, they're planning on that selling much more than the passport. So I don't think they were really building, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of passports to prepare for this thing to sell off the shelves. They were more just like testing this kind of like prototype and to see if people liked it, because the media could have taken it one way and just destroyed the Square terribly and no one could have bought it, and if they had hundreds of thousands of them then that would suck. So I think they were just preparing for what they're doing, and it ended up being in their favor. So
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. I think they had lower numbers to start off with when they were selling, but then when they sold out, and then Chen came out and said it was 200,000 devices that they sold, then people started to be like, oh, that's a number that's it's not necessarily tiny, it's not necessarily big, but something that people will be like, oh, 200,000 phones were sold. Let's check out what this is if it's sold out, and people are like clamoring for it. And so what we've been seeing lately is a lot more positivity around the device. So for instance, last night I was on Reddit and the passport came up on the front page of Our Gadgets, which is pretty big since that's the subreddit for all gadgets, and people are talking about it there. And I think that was spurred from the fact that fewer people can get a hold of the device and more people are asking what's with this device.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, it got 1,500 upvotes, and if any of you are familiar with Reddit, that's kind of a big deal, I guess, for BlackBerry at the very least. And then, like, if you actually go on the front page of Our Gadgets, everything else has maybe like 200 upvotes or 300, and this has, 1.5 or 1.3 million subscribers, readers, so it's not a small subreddit, and this is 1,500 upvotes, and all the comments on this, which have been very interesting, have really been people saying, I kind of do want a comeback story for BlackBerry. I'm like, part of me is rooting for them, and these are people who aren't, BlackBerry people, and they're asking a lot of questions, and they actually want to try the device out. So I was very pleasantly surprised reading through it.
And
it's kind of a big deal.
And it's an interesting demographic because Reddit is typically a younger demographic. So this device is supposed to be catering towards that prosumer enterprise market, but yeah, here we see it gaining some traction in maybe some other areas like the consumer space.
I'm saying, I mean, with the Amazon store, it almost feels like they're making a play toward the broader consumer kind of aspect there. I was speaking with a friend earlier on kind of the runtime 10.3 and where BlackBerry may take it. I mean, with a device like the Passport, with a deal like the Amazon App Store, What makes more sense? And I'd like you guys' opinion because you're both developers for the platform already. What makes more sense for BlackBerry? Continuing to build out the consumer apps natively in Cascades and have them with the hub access and all those goodies, or find a way to make the Android runtime talk seamlessly into the hub so that all those consumer apps can talk directly into the hub natively but be an Android application, a truly hybridized system. Do you think we're going to see kind of the foot on the pedal go down on the consumer side as they try to make Android as seamless as possible on BB10? Or do you play a juggling game between Cascades and Android? What do you guys think?
I'll answer this first. I think that it's in the long run, it's probably better just to really focus on nailing down that Android runtime to make it as seamless as possible an experience. Because if you think about it, they can just tack on and be able to use all those Android apps seamlessly. That's a whole bunch of weight off their shoulders. All the new gadgets like the Mayo devices or smartwatches or wearables like Google Glass and whatnot, they're all tying into that Android ecosystem. And if the BlackBerry devices can tap into that market without having to, try and convince people and spend all this money convincing people to build native apps, then it can only just benefit them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's going to be more so obviously focus on Android. And I know that a few of my buddies who have been trying out their OS, one of their like only complaints right now about Android apps are not all of them like to have the push support like notifications. Like, say you got a new message in an app, it's just not integrated enough. Some apps do work with that and they work great. Like Spotify, it's telling you what song's playing, you can skip it and add it to your favorites and all that stuff. But then I also think once they do get this working well, and if they do get like decent hub support, it might not be able to totally segment off. But then that is the benefit where they're the third party developers like iGrand, for instance. And when you can start getting the hub support for those, then I think that might be where the actual big app developers will start building natively if they get enough support from Android, or they'll just leave it at Android. And I just see BlackBerry 10 being able to run Android very well in the future, and you're just going to get the best of both worlds. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal.
Right. Their multitasking kind of paradigm is so unique compared to what else is out there. Everyone else is still siloed off into the individual app experience, where BlackBerry is invoking application cards and doing a lot of interesting things to really make it a seamless kind of user experience. I love being able to have the BVM app open talking to someone and then the hub talking to someone completely different. That level of multitasking, and as well with Alex showed off the triage of a hub on 10.3 and above, you have such an incredible communication experience. I was recently at a wedding, I think on last Upstream, and I had my video camera open and I'm videotaping. It's kind of the after party, everyone drinking and having fun. And I'm also, while the video is playing, shooting off text messages and BBMs through the instant action. The video never stopped. I was able to keep communicating while videotaping. I mean, that's the OS that we have right now, and being able to really run in a real-time sense and show off the capabilities of QNX is something BlackBerry needs to push forward. I really think they are going to put a development foot down on Android and really try to imbibe it into the system. And really, when we talk about it, and we'll get there toward the end with a little bit of the rumors with 10.3.1 in the future, but it definitely seems that BlackBerry is working ahead. They seem to have their development foots kind of like gearing forward. And I don't know, from what you guys see of the recent SDK release, have any of you guys messed around with any of the new stuff for Classic or optimizing your devices for the trackpad?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, aside from like the passport, there is like an obvious like little feature that just it sets like the main focus on a list view. So, because I noticed that some parts of my app, when you'd scroll up and down on the passport, it wouldn't scroll up and down the list. And I think currently like the BlackBerry 10 app has that problem where nothing scrolls up and down. And then there's actually a setting within the list view that you can set. This is the main priority scrolling area or whatever, and then it fixes it. So that's the only thing I've really messed around that is part of the newer SDK. I haven't done anything with the Classic though.
So you have made your application passport ready, but you haven't messed with the
Yes.
trackpad or anything like that. If
Yeah.
anyone is on 10.3.1, long press a link to a URL, and you get a really interesting option on the overflow menu. There's a more option. Have any of you guys seen this?
Nope. I'm turning my phone on right now to see.
It essentially stacks to overflow menus above one another. So you can press more, and a whole nother list will float in.
Oh,
Mm.
So you're able to layer out the overflow
import.
options that you'll be on the Classic able to access with the BlackBerry menu button.
Oh,
It's really
Mm.
cool that they're adding all it in, keeping it concise, fluid, and obviously productive because that's what they're going for with this OS. They're just really
okay.
cool things kind of coming ahead.
I like
I
some, yeah. I
no, go
like
ahead,
some
Becky.
of the finer the smaller refinements they're adding in that I've seen in the 10.3.1 developer OS release. I saw one example was under IMAP email, you can choose whether to just download the headers or download the entire email, which I mean, it's a small feature, but for some people it's a huge feature because that means you're not downloading a whole email all the time, and it's just another throwback to the legacy devices that I think 10.3 is going to really bring back some of those features, including custom LED profiles
I'm
and stuff
loving
like
it.
that.
I'm loving it. We don't have Dark Theme Hub as of yet. Am I correct on that? Not on this build.
Yeah, but you know it's funny because like since using the passport, I'm not using dark theme in any of my apps because it looks beautiful and I really don't care about the dark theme anymore. Like I really, really wanted the dark theme hub on my Z30 and like my Q10, but now I just don't care anymore because the passport doesn't use that type of screen and it looks great.
And the white and the blue does look very nice on 10.3, I gotta say.
Yeah,
And as Brandon mentioned, a lot of the legacy throwback features, like being able to hide pictures and videos in app, like that's
yeah,
awesome. They're definitely playing back toward that legacy base and making sure that their needs are covered as well. BlackBerry 10 is definitely just advancing at a solid pace. How much do you think, like development-wise, this company is focused on right now? They have so many other things going on cross-platform. They're building for iOS and they're building for Android. I mean, it seems that they're trying to juggle, I guess, some of the production that they're doing on BlackBerry 10. With the Passport device, do you think the momentum is going to keep up? Are we going to see this moving forward consistently? I mean, if they were able to continue selling this device out, I mean, I'm interested to see at least because everyone right now is buying it outright. It's not really
yeah.
in many of the carriers. I think Canada, it just on October 1st hit across all the
Hmm.
carriers, so you can go in store and get one for 250. Telus removed their promotion for the 200 price, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So for
Yeah,
250, you get a lot of device there. I mean, it's huge. The thing is massive.
yeah, I
Hmm.
think like at least in the US, they'll get a big boost if they do allow like Verizon or customers to get it, but I think that's only if it's within the next couple months. I'm thinking if they wait much longer than that, then they're just planning on not bringing it, and it wouldn't really even be worth it at that point in time. But I think that
The way I see it, Alex, at least for
yeah,
now, because AT&T hasn't even launched their
well,
exclusive
yeah, of course, yeah,
I think we may see a staggered launch for AT&T and T and Verizon, with Verizon picking up other devices as well toward maybe Q2, Q3 of next year, but the Passport
yeah,
coming along with it, with obviously AT&T getting like a full
yeah,
quarter of an exclusivity. But even
yeah. See,
still,
yeah.
where is Verizon at with their carrier support, at least on their radio bands? Are they still working on CDMA, or have they made the jump over to VoLTE?
Yes, this is something it would be nice to touch on because a lot of people have been asking this question in various places. So right now, Verizon, from what I understand, is just using CDMA right now for the 3G and then obviously primarily voice. So like when you're speaking to someone over the phone, it uses the 3G CDMA. But just recently, they've been pushing out voice over LTE, which is essentially 4G LTE voice. And once that is successful, they're going to chop off the use of CDMA, and then once 4G LTE is in enough places, then 3G won't even be a big deal anymore. And then at that point, they'll be fully GSM because 4G is GSM. You have the nano or micro SIM card in your phone. So right now, like the Unlock Passport, it does have the proper bands to use, but the fact that Verizon still uses a little bit of CDMA, even if it did end up working, you wouldn't get voice until 4G LTE. Like it's this whole thing, but very soon, within the next few years, at least the way that I'm understanding it, they're not going to have CDMA anymore, and then that could be good.
But will that allow them to then kind of open up their mindset to allow devices that weren't sold under their IMEI to be able to move over? I mean, right now they have
I
bring your own device, but it's bring your own Verizon device,
Yeah, I
correct?
think
Hmm.
that the internet, just everyone in general is going to start fighting back more when right now like I kind of want to fight and people kind of want to fight, but we understand there's still the CDMA there, and that's we could even that if that's not the problem, that's still what they can use as their defense. So once that's gone, then I think people will blow up a little bit more. The fact that if you spend $800 on a phone and we can't use on you simply because you're breaking the law, because with the ban, like you sign an agreement when you bought the bands that you have to allow unlocked devices on it if they support it. So if they start pulling all of that, I think people are just going to fight back and they're eventually going to have to fold. But yeah, you know you did ask, the initial question wasn't even about this. It was if the more passports like out there, if the momentum would keep going. And I think the cool thing with a passport is, at least carrying it around, so many people, they'll see it and they'll ask about it. It's a strange looking device, and you know word of mouth is such an important thing for marketing. So the more and more devices out there, the more people asking about them. I think that's just going to help BlackBerry and can keep the momentum going.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as it's steady, there's options and venues to buy it, at least for now. I know people are on back order lists and things like that for the passport, but I mean it is on Amazon.
Thank you, Froze. Yeah, it's on Amazon and it's on Shop BlackBerry. I guess I'll just continue what I don't totally know what the
I
thought
love that
process
face, man. I love that
was.
face. Oh man, that's
But
funny.
yes, so you can buy it on Amazon and Shop BlackBerry, which I guess is kind of an interesting thing to bring up too, that you know, Shop BlackBerry, they started pushing some coupons, or not, well, yeah, like a coupon kind of thing, like
Yeah, the
15 or
BB
25%
Save
off.
15. That
Yeah,
15% is huge if you think
yeah,
about
but
it.
dude,
Brings it down to
I
four.
put it in, it was 25%. I put it in for the Canadian variant or whatever, and it gave me
Yeah.
25% off, not
Oh,
15.
really? I tried
So,
putting it in, but I think I was too late because I did it the day after, and it
yeah,
wasn't working. So that's a pretty good deal. I mean, like if they're really being aggressive with the Shop BlackBerry sales, and I think that's only going to help them future on as for instance, like you said, Verizon, AT&T, they're kind of dragging their feet getting it out the door. BlackBerry's there being like, well, whoever wants to get it can come to us, get it, no delays. Well, I guess back orders and stuff
yeah.
aside. Anyways, so I guess we're flying this thing, Alex.
I guess it's just
Let's
you and
talk
me
about
until.
BlackBerry and marketing, how they're tapping into gyro for marketing for the passport.
Oh, yep, yep, yep. Oh, and he rejoined. Maybe that actually works. Yeah, so it seems like that they are trying new marketing efforts out. I think there are some numbers that were thrown out there where maybe they'll be spending, I think like 96 million on their new marketing, or it could, I'm not really sure what it could end up being or how much they've spent so far. But James, if you want to touch on that at all, I think you're back now.
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened. There's that ghost that popped back into the chat
Yeah,
with the BerryFlow account. So
yeah,
the marketing is definitely going to be interesting. It seems to be super focused right now on that mobile professional base. Did you guys happen to see one of the commercials for the Passport device?
yes, yes.
At the end of it, I love how subtle this was. I had to watch it a few times to even kind of catch it and have it click in my head. The woman at the end has her passport and her physical passport. She puts the device over another, and she's in an
Yeah.
airport, so she's headed on out. And we see she's about to get on a plane, and then they cut to a scene of her actually flying the plane. And I thought it was just such
Oh,
an interesting thing. It's
didn't
not,
even catch
it's
that.
a truly, right, a truly mobile
hmm
professional. She's not going to then sit and, munch off the Wi-Fi. She's actually flying her own plane. She's the pilot of her own kind of
hmm
enterprise. Just really interesting kind of undertones there for the work-wide campaign, which again I think is awesome. Giro has done a great job with it thus far. What do you guys think of kind of the marketing campaigns and some of the material that they've made?
I'm a big fan of the green. I just like that green, the accents they're using everywhere. I don't know about you, because BlackBerry has always been like the blue and black. I kind of like the green for the passport.
I think they're doing a good job in Canada in terms of that campaign. Everybody likes a good comeback story. It's tying on to it's pulling on the emotions of the Canadians
Yeah,
here. I mean, everybody here, especially in Southern Ontario or and anywhere in Canada, really knows how much BlackBerry's been struggling. And I think there's a lot of people who still have in the back of their mind or in the bottom of their heart, they're kind of rooting for BlackBerry to do well. And I think a good marketing campaign like this might get it back to the forefront, and people might not feel so embarrassed, you know, to be rooting for BlackBerry again, because it's actually, you know, coming up, being innovative, building new devices and things like that.
And Chen has come out and said that they do plan on building out unique devices like the Passport that tag along the innovation line for next year. Do you guys think we're going to see a lot of all-touch devices next year? I know I've kind of foreshadowed that here on Upstream before, but we've also heard kind of like a slider maybe in the works as well. What do you guys think is the next logical move for BlackBerry? Do you tail off kind of your focus on QWERTY, or do you go all-touch next year?
They can't continue with, you know, all of the most recent devices are all QWERTY. You know, there's the Classic, there's the Passport. I mean, Chen said there's going to be a Passport 2, but that's probably not coming until, you know, next year. It's not even, you know, released in so many countries yet. So their next focus is definitely going to be an all touch, and then, you know, they've been showing off, or, you know, joking around a bit about some more innovation coming. That's probably going to be more in, you know, a slider area or some type of all touch slash physical. So I think that's kind of where they're headed.
I think it's really, they're just trying to put out the query devices and the keyboard devices now to really force home that notion that BlackBerry is for productivity, it's for enterprise, and they're really, John Chen's really trying to get that like hammered into everybody's head so that they know, and they know that BlackBerry is synonymous with enterprise and all that stuff. And I think in next year we're going to start seeing them maybe push the envelope a bit more in terms of touchscreen devices, or even, no, we've been hearing rumors of a slider. So I think we'll start seeing a bit more of a deviation from the keyboard style of things. But you know, I think there's still going to be some keyboard heavy focuses going forward.
And it's like, are they, you know, it's interesting. They pulled out Smartphone X at the Passport launch, which was this work narrow type of ubiquitous device, which kind of looked like an iPhone and a Samsung kind of smashed together and, again, made super generic. But are they going to be able to qualm themselves and say, hey, you still have options with us to work narrow if that's what you want to do? You know, it's an interesting that the Passport specifically is taking on this work-wide theme, while they're going to be building other devices that may, in fact, like the Z3, continue with the 16:9 ratio. So just definitely an interesting prospect for them moving forward. I see, like, as we move toward this kind of latter half of the year, and we see some of these announcements with BBM meetings, which you did a fantastic article on, and as well with kind of BES 12 Classic. Would you guys like to see something like a Z3 LTE geared specifically at enterprise and any consumers that may just want to purchase on Shop BlackBerry?
I think personally, if they come out with an LTE Z3 now, it's going to be kind of, you know, it's been done already. It's been out for a while in you know, Indonesia and stuff, and so you're not really going to get that much excitement. I think in terms of a Z3 LTE, it might be good just to provide that option for enterprise, so that they have that touchscreen option, so not everybody has to get a Classic or, you know, a Z30. I guess they have the Z30 as an alternative, but maybe they want, you know, some of that more, you know, updated form factor with the Z3. I'm not sure, because I think the Z30 is perfectly fine, is perfectly suitable for that market, if that's the case, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, I mean, I share the same kind of thought process behind that. I think that there's enough options between the Passport, the Classic, and Z3 at this point. I mean, I think it could be one of those things where if they throw it like quietly on their website and just have it as an option, I just don't think that they should be advertising, because it's kind of like they have all this momentum with the Passport, talking about the crazy specs it has and everything like that, and then all of a sudden if they go and say, here's an old device that we're now doing 4G LTE, and start advertising that, people might be like, wait, what's going on with BlackBerry? So I think they silently push it or just don't do it at all. There's enough options out there right now.
And I wonder, I really do. Like, I honestly see that there's, you got to have a balanced portfolio, and what we already saw the leaked kind of roadmap for devices, and affordable with the Z3 was on the list. Then we had the Classic, we had the Porsche for the Elite, and we had the Passport for the Innovation. So I don't know. As part of a BES 12 kind of rollout strategy, imagine if they bundled devices with the BES software, and they're like, here, you can also get a discount on these devices, on the per device unit, so that you're buying hundreds, if not thousands, of devices at once.
There's one note I would like to say that I have heard rumors of maybe like a mini
I think.
And that would be really interesting. Maybe a Q10 size with the three row keyboard and the touch sensitive keyboard, but maybe on a smaller device for people who don't necessarily want that huge form factor. I think that would be a really interesting device.
Our buddy Dylan over at D Habkirk's Designs, he actually showed me a tease of an image earlier, and it's essentially a passport without the physical keyboard. So you have a very wide kind of touchscreen device, a lot like the LG View, but done up in a BlackBerry type way. He showed off kind of the virtual keyboard on a screen that way, and it actually looked pretty interesting. So I wonder if a mini type of passport device, maybe a credit card, they'll call it something like that, would actually do well in the market for them.
I don't know. It
Exactly.
would be, yeah, be interesting to say
So
the least.
did you guys see the news from Forrester? They actually did a kind of the Forrester Wave went out with the Enterprise Mobility Q3 results for kind of who
Oh
was
yeah.
top of the market, so to speak. BlackBerry tied for top rankings in market presence, but they won in the category of strategy, which is balanced over and how much cash flow you're actually bringing in. And to competitive alternatives, they were one of the major leaders in that market. So very interesting. We'll pose the question over to Jubei real quick as he jumps on here. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? How's everyone doing?
What's up?
Chilling,
Nice
chilling.
hair. New hair.
Yeah, haircut and a little bit of a shade.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, it looks good, buddy. I need to do something with this. I don't know. This mop, I need to do something with it. No,
What's the
Jubei,
question?
we're talking about the Forrester Mobile Management. They announced their Q3 results, essentially on who they deemed as some of the top players in the EMM, Enterprise Mobility Management space, and BlackBerry came out as a leader in the strategy section in that category. I at least feel that it's great that they're finally getting recognition. I mean, Bez 10 rolling out cross-platform from iOS, Android, balance, and all the other stuff they're doing. I definitely believe, Forrester is a big recognition for them. Do you have anything you wanted to say on some of the news release?
Well, I know that that announcement kind of got overlooked. A lot of people passed by the news. They kind of read in like, I don't know what this means, and moved forward because they didn't. It wasn't really a service or a product or something they introduced. It was just kind of like this recognition, and it may be something that most people wouldn't deem important, but it's critical for all the enterprise and the regulated segments out there to see that BlackBerry has a strategy moving forward. We're talking about this massive trend that BlackBerry has almost virtually pulled off, and we are now looking towards the future. And what is that future going to look like? Well, whatever the case may be, um, they have an award-winning strategy, and they've been recognized for it. So this is going to reflect on their stock. This is going to reflect on their value moving forward, and it's just really critical. And I think it's great that they got recognized for it, and for all the stock holders and for people playing the long um, for the long term. That's a very encouraging sign, and yeah, I think it's just very nice. Very
Yeah.
good. It was great news. It was great news.
Finally, actually,
That's
from
good.
from behind the shroud of essentially apathy, where we don't even care to write about your abilities and what you're offering to the market. Finally, a big name in the industry is actually calling out and saying, BlackBerry's actually got a good strategy right now. They're making sure they're hitting their deliverables and moving forward, and that's really what we're seeing with Chen right now in this whole management strategy. He's taking the enterprise drive and really nailing it to the wall, making sure everyone understands we are in this game, but we are also in this sector. I think there was a lot of kind of shroud and confusion regarding where BlackBerry was. Are they a consumer entity? Are they an enterprise business
And that
corporate entity?
still sadly still happens.
Hmm.
Even my dad earlier today, we're watching NFL games, and uh, he brought up the passport. I can't believe this guy knew about that. My dad knew about the passport. This man,
Wow.
he didn't know anything about anything. So he said, "Oh yeah, I see BlackBerry passport." And I asked him, I said, "Where did you hear about the passport?" And it was covered in the newspaper. My dad's old school. He's still every morning the coffee, the newspaper, and Daily News covered something here in New York about the passport, and they covered Chen's remarks on how they are focusing on enterprise and how they're not trying to build the iPhone killer. And at this point, I think that's the term that I think everyone should just drop altogether. That platform is fully matured. It's been around
Right.
for
The only thing that will
yeah,
the only thing that will kill the iPhone is Apple, and people need to understand that, you know?
yeah. Only the iPhone can kill itself now at this
Yeah.
point.
Hmm.
So
It'll be a murder suicide for sure.
yeah. And he had still the perception that BlackBerry was trying to make a consumer comeback. And I had to explain to him, it's like, Pops, this isn't about consumers anymore. This isn't about, Apple or Google. They have their own strategies, and BlackBerry certainly has their own unique one, and it plays in the next decade, as far as like the future of mobility in a global scale. So that I think that Chen, as he keeps chipping away at carving out that identity for BlackBerry, that's gonna trickle down eventually. But there's still people out there that still have the perception that BlackBerry is trying to compete in the consumer market. And I covered this territory before. They're not. Apple is not their competition in the classic sense. So
In the classic sense. Do-do-patch.
yeah.
No, Jubei, before you came on, I was yelling and screaming for a Z3 LTE device. I'm like, hit the 250 target mark with the Z3. Give me the 350 target mark with the Classic. Give me the 600 with the Passport, and then we have the the Porsche, which we'll never see an Enterprise ever, well, very likely, because it's totally a luxury device. But hit your spectrum, have your high end, have your middle, have your low end. Let it be clearly defined. Right now, if you go on to BlackBerry or shop BlackBerry, the low end device is a $299, or I think $399 even, Z10, and it's just, is that what you want to mark as your low end when it has higher specs than some of your other devices like the Q5? It's just kind of a mismatched portfolio right now, and Chen has obviously come in and wants to kind of iron that out, make it a lot more concise for users.
They have to certainly go through there and go through it with a comb. And it's challenging because the Z10 device and the Q10 device are kind of in that limbo area. Chen comes in and he has his devices that he wants to put in market in the segments. And what do you do with what the past generation did with the launch and those devices? We already know that the launch was botched. We know that the Z10 was a device that was late to market. It was sitting in a warehouse for an enormous amount of time waiting for the OS to be fully developed. So, and you got a ton of people who bought the device. So you have a bunch of people with the Z10s and the Q10s, and like, what do you do? What do you? So it's kind of like that limbo where you kind of have to drag it along with you moving forward until it kind of dies out. Hopefully, and I know that he's crossing his fingers on this, he's fully confident too, that the Classic is going to be the device that a lot of the Q10 owners are going to kind of migrate to, along with everyone else who loved the old legacy devices as well.
Right. The Q10 camp seems to be like divided in half, where the Q10 for me is beyond the trackpad. I have a great gesture one-handed OS that works fine. I don't need a trackpad. Those people move to Passport. But as you had mentioned, there's still that base that loves the kind of tactile feel of being able to navigate the OS without having to encumber the screen space above it. So with that trackpad, again, able to fine-tune control of the OS. I got a buddy right now who's on the 9900.
Wow.
He sees me with the Z30s with the Passport device coming out. He sees all that, and he's like, you know what? I want a Classic. I like that
Google
experience.
CEO. Did we cover that already? No.
No, we haven't yet. But yeah, Eric Schmidt, Google CEO, running around with a Nexus device and running around with the 9900. I mean,
Yeah.
why? Why is this still happening? Because the device is damn good. It's a mature operating system. What people like right now about iOS 8 is that it's 8 years old. It's got so much refinement built on top of it.
Yeah.
But it hasn't innovated on the same kind of rudimentary steps that it's taken for growth. With OS 7, it's kind of the same thing, where you have a really robust, I can hide files, I can hide folders, I have totally customizable profiles for notifications, I have social feeds, I have a really, really nice operating system that allows me to multitask with a high level of productivity. And with BlackBerry 10, they're kind of getting it there. It seems a difference in focus, where Torsten Hines was focused on bringing a very consumer-type operating system to the market.
He wanted it to be popular, and
right. He thought it would sell
can't
itself.
be great at everything. You're better off being great at one thing.
And
So,
right
but
on,
coming around full circle,
right, it's full circle. We have Chen focusing on enterprise and bringing in all the goods.
yeah, and the Z3 LTE device, I think it may replace that Z10, but you know how we have the rumors of a all-touch device coming in the spring. So who knows? I like the Z10 form factor a lot. I like just the dimensions and everything about it. But only Chen knows. Only that team knows from here on out what's going to
Only
replace that
Chen
device.
knows.
Only he knows what's going to replace that device. But as far as the LTE Z3, I mean that's as far as the price point there, you can't beat that with what you get with that device and the price point. But it hasn't been released in the U.S. Hasn't been released in certain areas. So it's kind of like what's going on? How come I can't buy it here and shop BlackBerry?
Right. It's out, but it's not out. It's out for the Western world, or the Eastern world, rather. Excuse me. I'd love them to bring it to Europe and some other markets, especially with an enterprise focus. Like I'll sell it to you as an enterprise for 150, 200, while consumers at 250, 300, so that I can give a leverage point, add a value proposition on top of my server software. Even if you're selling it, in batches of 100, that's still great profit, and bringing people over to your server software as well, I think would be pretty wise. Chen also announced here a recent appointee, Mike D, for the board of directors, Mr. Michael Daniels. He was from, I believe, 365, which was a former Sybase company, Mobile
Shocker.
365. Right. Gasp. He's pulling in more of his legacy team that he's obviously has a very good relationship with.
It
Yep.
happened again.
Yeah.
Same thing happened earlier.
It's the Jacksonville
He always
connection.
gets like paused at like the best moments too. Like,
Right, we're just gonna go on a spiel.
yeah.
Going on what James was saying, with the new appointee, I think it's interesting. Not only is he leveraging these guys from his former team, but that they're actually coming. And I think it speaks volumes when these guys are actually following Chen over into BlackBerry, because they need to see something in BlackBerry in order for them to make that maneuver. And these guys, just like Marty Beard and the other guys,
John
John
Sims.
Sim, these
Yeah.
guys are moving over because they see a future. They see
Yeah.
incredible potential.
When I was at the Toronto experience earlier this year, John Sims actually spoke to that point. He's like, "Listen, we're not coming here because
We're friends.
just because we're friends or something. I had a really comfortable job back at my old job, right? I didn't need to come and do this, but what I saw and what Jen convinced me to see and what I was able to see after he told me about it was that, this company is capable of being saved, and we actually see something that we believe that we can make something great out of it. And he said that. He says, ultimately, I have a quote in one of my in my write-up I did for, but it goes something along the lines of, ultimately we're going to be judged based on whether BlackBerry succeeds or falls or fails, right? So so obviously no one's going to want to come in and be known for the people who are running a company who fails, right?
Right? No, yeah, clearly. And I don't know, along the lines with that, making that move, I think these guys appreciate a challenge. I think there's something about BlackBerry, and Chen mentioned this as far as like developers and stuff, and bringing in talent. There's a lot of opportunity for people to jump into BlackBerry right now and to really create something special and unique. And it's a wonderful opportunity. Trying to get into Google, trying to get into Microsoft, trying to get into Apple right now is impossible. But getting into BlackBerry, if you got the talent, they'll take you on, and you'll have an incredible opportunity that will really showcase your abilities. And these guys, they love the challenge. They see the tools already in place, and they're jumping in.
Well, there's definitely, I bet you now there's probably a lot more space to hire some new engineers in BlackBerry. I heard a rumor that there's 350 engineers that are mostly engineers were going to be hired, and I mean we can kind of see that leading up to the Passport release, it seems like a lot of the focus, a lot of the development focus was aimed at the blend software, getting that that hammered down, and then now we're seeing that it's kind of a lot of those developers were also placed on the BBM team, and then you also have a handful of developers who are doing the OS. So I think that they're going to start bringing in more developers in to kind of, reinforce each of those groups.
And I gotta say, you did a great job on that article on BerryFlow, covering
Oh,
the
thanks.
future of like BBM and stuff in the team. That was really good. I enjoyed reading that.
Thanks, I appreciate
And
it.
for anyone else who
BBM
hasn't read it,
leadership
go on
was
BerryFlow, read what Brandon wrote up regarding the future of BBM. Do it.
Thanks.
We've been saying it for so long too. That's what gets me. Like, I think back on our Confluence article, and so many of the ideas that we mentioned there are now like slowly being implemented, and it's just cool to see that it's obvious what's needed, and BlackBerry is obviously listening. I really appreciate that. To put a voice into the pie, so to speak, and it actually be kind of retained and pulled back, and it's actually listened to. It just definitely feels great. So with this as well, with kind of BlackBerry moving forward here, I want to talk about the 10.3 Developer Beta OS that was announced alongside the 10.3.1 SDK. We have 2 developers in the group. Have any of you guys messed around with any bits of the Developer OS, optimizing any of your apps for 10.3? What do you guys think of it so far?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I've been switching. Oh, you can go.
you can
Yeah.
go. You can go,
Okay.
Zach.
I've been okay, so my app probably consists of like 40 or 50 kml files. It's gigantic. So I was going over everywhere that I set like a width anywhere, use pixels. I went and turned it into display units, and then I tried pretty much making separate folders for the different pixels per inch or display units per inch or whatever, display units per pixel or whatever. So I've been mixing around with it a little bit, and I think now I'm future-proofing the app. So the next device that comes out, so long as it's a square device or it's the normal kind of like aspect ratio for the all-touch device, then I think it'll just work out of the box on it. I won't have to do much with it. But the process of doing that was a pain in the butt, so I'm glad to be done with that.
Like
Yeah.
I imagine you sitting next to your application, like you've got your phone, you've
Dude,
got a calculator, you've got your computer, and you're
Dude,
just
I had friggin' 4 of these phones sitting here, and I was using calculator to do stuff, and I'm pushing it to each device, and then it's like I'm getting so overwhelmed over here. It's terrible, and I just realized how
Yeah.
many friggin' BlackBerry phones I have now.
Yeah.
damn.
I echo those sentiments. I was telling Alex a few weeks ago when I started, upgrading my apps for 10.3, and I was like, oh man, this new screen size. It's not the screen size per se. It's just the fact that it leaves it open for BlackBerry to kind of put whatever screen size they want in the future, and we can kind of see that based on the design units they're putting. They're kind of putting in design units so that kind of long range is going to be less work for developers in the future. They can have apps that can kind of mold to different screen sizes. But right now, if going from a pixel type of scenario and having to convert it over time units, I was the same scenario. I had my calculator and I was like calculating, testing on a whole bunch of different devices, and it was a bit annoying, but I mean, in the long run, it's going to be worth it for sure. I've also added signature features, but to be honest, signature features and some of those color options, they're nice. They're not very difficult to implement.
No.
And to be honest, in terms of usability, they're not really. I don't really consider them to be that big of a deal in terms of usability. Like I'm sure my app would be just as fine without them, but in terms of making it look nice for
Yeah.
aesthetics, obviously it's nice.
That's good stuff. So neither of you have kind of messed around with the trackpad as of yet.
No,
What's holding you
no.
off? That the device isn't
Not
out,
having
so
the
it's not a
device,
focus?
yeah.
Yeah, not
It's like
having the
honestly,
device.
yeah, I'm gonna have to use the device in person and see where the pain points are in my app. Because for me to right now and try and future-proof my app for that device without having used the device, like the app might work perfectly fine without doing anything. So I don't know. I think really the Passport is a good example because a lot of my developer friends, they've been sending me their apps to test on the Passport because the
Yeah.
simulator has been showing the app is working in various regards, but then it breaks when it's on the actual device. So I really think the
Alex actually helped me out
yeah,
test out
yeah,
my app.
yeah, just like little stuff, some of the width is kind of broken or whatever. So I think it is still so important to test on actual devices. until they get to the point where, say, design units makes perfect sense, that when you get it working on a square screen and the full touch screen, then everything just works perfectly. But we're in that transition right now, so that's where testing on every device is important.
And Jubei and I are here like, well.
I have no idea what they just said. The last 5 minutes.
It's been over the head. No, I get kind of what they're doing with the design unit, so I understand that it's kind of future-proofing. It does take a lot of work to convert the app over to design units if, like Alex, you've got a lot going on in your application. But it's cool that at least you guys are kind of hopping on 10.3 and at least getting it ready for in-market devices like the Passport. Let's move forward from there. Do you guys have any kind of features that are interesting to you in 10.3.1? We did mention it was kind of bringing back some of the legacy features. I personally like the ability to actually change contrast on the entire phone, so you can just swap it and invert every single color, which helps for some people with eye problems. Just a great usability feature, something we have and almost every other phone has already that they're adding in on BB10. Do you guys have any key things that you like about 10.3.1?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one's kind of interesting, which I don't even know if you guys will actually mention on it. The recent contact management for me in the hub, this is huge because oftentimes I'll get random emails sent to me. It might be a spam email or what, and you can literally click right there, and then you can go and add. It shows all the recent emails or contacts that you've had. You can add them to a block list, or you can immediately from right there respond to them or reply to them. And that's better functionality than my Google Apps for Business calendar or email has kind of with Google. So I'm really looking forward to this because I would kind of jump between and all this stuff. So that's like something for productivity that I wasn't even thinking about, but BlackBerry apparently is, and I'm excited about.
That block thing
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
very clutch one.
Yeah.
For me, it's very simple. Custom LED. And also the ability to hide images.
Yeah, for me it's
And
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, for me it's definitely the advanced gestures. I hardly ever have to swipe my my screen to get to get it to unlock and see my time. And now all I do is I just lift up my device, and then I can see my messages right there, and instantly, go to action and reply and stuff. That for me is the greatest feature. It's not the most advanced feature, but I like it the best because that's the one I use the most. Because my phone's always near me by my desk, and whenever I see the LED blinking, I just lift it up and I can see what it is right away.
Yeah, and it hasn't really been touched on. I think because maybe we're happy with the battery life, but the battery saving mode, it's awesome. I don't really care that much though because I'm using the Passport and the Z30 and I'm getting great battery life with them. But right when I saw battery saver mode was added, I sent a screenshot to my buddy who has a Z10 and he got all excited. So I know that might have more of a target market, but it's still cool to have nonetheless.
I felt like BlackBerry 10 did all of those things already.
Yeah.
You know, when you hit 20%, I feel like it did all that. It underclocked the CPU and all that already. But as you had mentioned, just great to have it kind of as a feature there, that it auto dims the screen for you and things like that. I definitely am appreciating it. And as you said, contact management is so much better on this OS than on previous. There's a lot of pain points that general users have had.
Oh no. Oh, you actually finished what he was saying pretty quickly.
What's funny is he's in Miami and he has worse internet than me in the middle of nowhere.
It's bad.
Like,
In a hotel, yeah.
It's
the
so
moose
bad.
up here have better internet than him.
We have Comcast to thank for that one, so thank you, Xfinity. Right, like I can't go 5 minutes without dropping out of this, but then it brings me right back in, so at least we're moving forward there. Well, let's move down our topic list here. We've been going for almost an hour now, so did you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on in regard to 10.3, or should we move on from there?
No, I just
yeah.
I think everybody's just really excited to be able to use Blend. Alex, do you mind giving us a bit of some perspective on how your experience has been with Blend? Because
Yeah,
I
so
saw your video on BerryFlow and it looked really
Oh,
cool.
and Alex is BBMing me about all these bugs he's finding. So go ahead,
okay,
Alex.
it
Oh.
wasn't all okay, it wasn't all these bugs. There's one bug where when I clicked a link and it opened up in the browser and it showed the proper link, but then you copy and paste that same link and it adds all these weird characters to it, like a character encoding, and it brought the link to a dead link. So some links are
Uh,
broken when you click them from Blend because it adds some hidden encoding every now and then. And that was just like a weird case scenario, which I don't really know. But aside from that, that was the only thing that I was really complaining to James about. But I've had desktop notifications for my Gmail client because I have my work and my personal, both Gmail and school, but I don't really use that. So I would get this little toast notification in the bottom right corner of my computer saying when I got a new email. I've actually disabled that now because Blend not only pops up quicker, the little thing, but then I also don't have to click it to go into a browser window and do all this stuff. Blend is already open in the background, and I've actually been replying to client emails and everything through Blend. I have not even been using my Gmail web app as much, which is it's pretty cool. I'm
This
excited
sounds
about.
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it just to, because my mail client on my Mac is super slow now, and it's exactly what I have on my phone anyways. So I'd basically just like to, because I'm already downloading the messages on my device. I don't need to re-download them onto my laptop. So it'd be nice to just be able to tap into my device and use that as my mail client and not have to worry about setting it up on my MacBook or anything, or if I switch laptops or anything, it's right there.
Yeah. Oh, and the simple fact, my stepdad came in my room the other day. He asked me if I had gotten an email. So I pull up Blend, and I was in the inbox, and you can do a search between all your accounts. I have right now 3 accounts: my personal, work, and college, and I just did a quick search across all of my accounts and got it. And I'm trying to think the old route I would go is I would hop into Google, into Gmail, and then I would flip over to the account I need, and then I would do a search from there. And I just
Hmm.
realized you can search across all your accounts on your computer, and just these little tiny things that I wasn't even thinking about are being so beneficial using Blend over using like the web interface. That's all. Let's get off this. And James is frozen again. I think um,
Did you guys see the Tim Allen interview?
yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
the Jimmy
interesting.
Kimmel, Tim Allen thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That was cool.
pretty
yeah.
excited. Now the question on everyone's mind, of course, is if it was set up, paid for by BlackBerry, or was it just an
Well,
honest?
Tim has always been. I thought he has been just a BlackBerry user,
Yeah.
hasn't he?
I I don't think he was paid. I think maybe he's just like he might be a bit of a BlackBerry fanboy, and he's like, I really like this device, and I want to show people this device.
I
Well,
like the way how the camera
yeah,
caught it in his hand and it kind of
yeah,
just slowly drifted in,
yeah,
and it almost seemed like the perfect product placement,
Hmm.
ad
yeah.
on that.
You got really well. You still got to give a clap to BlackBerry if it is product placement. Everybody's talking about how their marketing was so bad. They did end up, paying him to get this on there. I mean, that's a perfect place where you want to have marketplace product placement. And I mean, there's not much better you can do than one of the best night shows
Yeah, I mean,
around,
he
especially in
said
the U.S.
Yeah, he said that he's kind of a tech enthusiast, so he said that he did have other phones, but he's always liked BlackBerry, and he said he literally got this phone because he thought it was just weird, unique, and different, and he's liking it. And I'm thinking if BlackBerry paid him, I don't think his testament would be, I got this phone because it's weird and different and I
Right.
like BlackBerry. So I'm thinking it really wasn't paid. It's just, a guy who likes the phone and maybe
I
likes the
love,
attention of it.
I love how he casually took it out his back pocket, showed it off,
Yeah,
placed it, put it right back in his bag, and sat on it.
yeah,
That was a
yeah,
moment
Hmm.
where everyone enjoyed.
yeah.
It's and what's funny is that there's a lot of BlackBerry fanboy, like famous like celebrities who are BlackBerry fanboys who are kind of showing off the passport, like Tyler Florence. Chad in our BlackBerry group, in our BBM group, was kind of mentioning that Tim Allen has been a long time BlackBerry fan, and so has Tyler Florence, he's a chef, right? Celebrity chef.
Yeah. Well, it's just like when I was working on the Food Network on that show, and Ty Pennington there, who everyone knows from Extreme Makeover. He's a BlackBerry fan too, and he pulled out his Q10 and was like,
Hmm.
nothing. works better than this. I mean, the battery lasts all day. I could punch out emails, and it's a workhorse. So, granted, he did have an iPhone, but he legitimately said, I use this to take pictures and to play like games.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was it. It's like, all right, fair enough.
Really struck. I think what really struck out to me about the words that Tim Allen used in the interview is that he actually used the word, this is a cool phone. This is a really cool phone that, not many people you've heard say that about
Yeah.
in the spotlight. You've heard say that BlackBerry is a cool phone. And I think now with the Passport, you get Tim Allen saying that, and then we're starting to see that, like we mentioned earlier in the show on Reddit, people are starting to say it's a cool looking phone. And I think it's a really cool thing seeing this positive energy around the device.
Yeah. I love how BlackBerry did put out the design story sort of
Yeah.
full-on commercial on it. I think it was
Hmm.
just very smart, and it was important to get that message out there. That it wasn't like, oh, we're desperate, we're trying to come up with something just new and crazy for,
Hmm.
just to get attention. No, there's a story behind it, and the design, they put a lot of intelligence, a lot of research into the design, and the
Hmm.
fact that they crafted a 2-minute commercial on it, and see it and really immerse themselves in that culture of design and productivity and the history behind the
And
development. So
Yeah.
And it's interesting because that commercial, when I saw it, it was actually beneficial for me, who's a longtime BlackBerry fan as well, because I was kind of like, when I first saw the BlackBerry design, when we first started to see those first few leaks and design shots, I was kind of like, oh man, like
Yeah.
what are they thinking?
Yeah.
And after a bit of time, I'm kind of like, I'm warming up to it. I warmed up to it now, and I like it. But I was still kind of interested in wondering, what made them decide to go like that? Was it kind of just to catch people's attention, catch their eye? It was interesting to see all that stuff that went in behind the design.
And BlackBerry has won in the past many Red Dot Awards, which is pretty much they've won awards for their design. And I think I don't want to give credit to Apple, but they've kind of taken a book out of Apple where the phone isn't just a phone, like there's thought that goes on behind building the phone. And
Hmm.
it was funny, I think during the event when they showed that video, I tweeted like, taking a key out of Apple's book or whatever, page out of Apple's book
Hmm.
on this because, they need to show this. I think it really does help. There was a lot of thought put behind this and every BlackBerry 10 device, so why not show that off?
it's
Well, and
very
then,
critical.
yeah. Sorry, and sorry, I just want to say something quickly. And I mentioned that in one of my recent articles that BlackBerry's really taken some of the best parts of all the different OSs and kind of incorporating it into BlackBerry. So that's not necessarily a bad thing that they're taking different pieces and parts. I think we'll start to see a bit more of these similarities between some things that Apple excels at that we'll see BlackBerry incorporating, some things that Android excels at that we'll see BlackBerry incorporating.
Yeah, everyone knows that everyone steals from everyone. It just comes down to who
Hmm.
implements it the best and which one creates like the most cohesive experience for the user. That's just streamlines the experience and makes it work the way it's supposed to. And going back to what Alex was just mentioning, that design story, I think, has the potential to possibly get interest and converts because throwing out a product out there and just saying, this is the Passport is not enough. And I think that people love a story. People want to know what's going on. People want to be a part of something, a movement, the culture of certain things. So bringing out that design story, even the commercial that they have, they show the little sequences with the doctor and the medical situation, with the device and going and showing the difference between a smartphone showing the X-ray versus the Passport. They show a couple of guys sitting in a car. They show a woman, walking into an airport, into a personal jet and flying off. Um, all these little stories are being brought together, and it's very tangible for people in the enterprise and the medical segments to look at this and to see the design story and to say, you know what, there's something going on here, and I like where it's going. I want to be a part of the story, and that's how you create a culture behind a product, behind a company. And Apple, being the great marketers they were, they developed that as well when they first started. You know, they made the iPhone synonymous with lifestyle and culture. And now that BlackBerry's doing it, they're saying we're not going to do it with the consumer, but we're going to do it with enterprise. We're going to do it with medical. And it looks great. I don't know if you guys have we talked about the BlackBerry, the marketing with the GYRO.
Yeah, yeah, right before it came on, yeah.
Gyro.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to say gyro because that's what I usually eat on Saturday.
You eat a gyro. You eat a gyro.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it'll be great. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Especially, I think there's a plan that's going to be rolling out for the holiday season. So we'll see what BlackBerry takes it from here. I think so far under Chen, it's been the marketing has been subtle, short, but it'll happen with 10.3.1, Blend, Passport, Classic, Bez 12 coming in all before the holiday season. So.
And hopefully something about Project Ion in December. I'd love to hear about what it's like a secret, like a big secret. Like, what are you doing? Who are your
Those guys
partners?
are hammering it out hard in the background of that Project Ion, man. And when it's announced, you're gonna prepare yourself for something outstanding.
Yeah. You know, one last thing before we get off the hardware, because we were talking about all of that. There's just one comment that stood out to me on the whole Reddit gadget thing, where someone said, you know, they're not like a BlackBerry user or whatever. They said, this is one of those rare phones I look at and don't see the iPhone's influence. And I felt that was kind of a strong thing because so many phones coming out now, obviously they're influenced by the iPhone. And like the fact that you look at this thing, this is why so many people ask questions. It's a weird looking phone that people aren't used to because it's not influenced by the iPhone.
Hold it up. Let me see it in your hand, Alex.
I have small hands, so.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Sexy beast.
Thing is bigger than your face.
Yeah, you know.
And you have the what's that called?
The no biggie. The no biggie
No
finger
biggie.
strap.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So,
How do you actually use it? I assumed you would just take it off as soon as you get
Yeah,
it.
well, the thing is, so I use the phone a lot like this, so I
Right.
don't actually have my finger in it, but say that I am like walking around or something, and I'll just have this, you know, I'll do that. It's just for like a safety precaution.
Right.
It's just giving it a chance, you know. It's an interesting thing.
I sent an email out to the developer of No Biggie, and I was like, this would be great integrated into a case solution that you could put on multiple devices, and it's built in, so that, again, you kind of have the flexibility to have a naked, beautiful, clean phone, but also get some of the additions and niceties that the finger strap gives. It is cool. Alex can like walk around, shake his hands, and everything's right there with him. So.
Yeah.
Just throw your passport.
I like that. Like you're on the street, you're typing and typing away, and someone comes, asks you for directions.
Yeah.
You can let go one hand and literally point.
Yeah.
And the device like kind of just it stays there. There's different ways that you can. It's
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So,
And the thing is, like, it's essentially just like a sticky you put on devices, so you can put it on any type of device, a note, a tablet, really anything you want to be able to have just a little bit more dexterity in your hand. So it's cool.
has those marks or little scratches on their face because a lot of people use their smartphones when they're in bed. So they always
drop it. Yeah.
Don't drop the Z30 on your face.
That problem. You have your fingers in there, so
Dude,
it's not going to slip out and hit you in the face anymore.
The passport would knock you out. I'm not even kidding. This thing would knock you out. I've joked around about it. You can use it as a weapon. Like, this is one of those things that if you held it like this and struck someone with the corner of it, you will break their skull. Like, it is a well-built device.
Alex tried this out, and we have a video coming on BerryFlow about a murder. On his next hands-on review, we'll be showing homicide.
Passport as a self-defense mechanism.
Alex went to sleep. We would have never known.
We sent Alex to a dojo on the border of Canada and New York, and he's actually cutting wood with the passport.
He throws it as a star, a ninja star.
He actually gave the passport to a bunch of beavers so it would help them with their work.
Oh man, too much fun at Alex's expense.
Yeah.
It's funny though, we see all these bend videos for the passport, and it's like, yo, that's a stainless steel frame. Like, good luck. Like, you're gonna need like a machine just to even bend that. Like, come on, let's get with it. And you guys heard about Nappygate as well, right? Or as Jeremy would call it, Nappygate. The iPhone is getting stuck in people's hair and like hanging on
Oh,
to their
Yeah,
head.
well, the other guy, the
that one
Beardgate.
I think is a bit of a stretch. Like I don't know, man. I don't know.
What I read about was the Beardgate, where there's a gap, between the framing and the glass. So people with a beard hold the device up to their phone. The hairs will get into that seam, and when they pull it out, the hairs will pluck out.
That's
It's
ridiculous.
just one of those things, but people are reporting it. I mean, like, all right, okay, Beardgate.
This is what you understand. Like, people were putting iPhones in the microwave, so like, come on, you gotta expect the worst.
Yeah.
And it's funny that Apple plays to that demographic. This is who they built the phone for. The person who's gonna get it stuck in their beard, complain. The person who's gonna put it in their back pocket, sit on it repetitively, and then complain that it's bent. Like, come on.
That's the crowd.
Yeah. I never understood putting the phone in the back pocket. Like, you sit down on your bum, you sometimes you just jump down on your ass as well. Like, it's like that doesn't seem like a very good spot to stick a $800 device. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems kind of natural selection-y type of.
It seems very careless, very irresponsible. Yeah.
Very Darwinian. Very Darwinian.
Yeah.
Oh man, too much fun here.
Is there anything else we gotta cover?
Yeah, let's talk rumors. Let's talk about what we may be seeing coming next year. I've seen some interesting things on a slider type device that essentially has a Z3 type profile with a keyboard that works at multiple layers. Also heard as well that an all-touch device is supposed to be slated for March release, or at least announcement in 2015. So that's still in the first quarter, toward the end of that first quarter, calendar quarter, excuse me. So what do you guys see? We kind of touched on this a little bit, that we expect some all-touch devices. Do you expect these to be flagship like the Passport, or kind of Z10, excuse me, successors that kind of build upon a mid-range spec base? What do you guys think?
Well, judging off of the roadmap that we saw, M4BB put out this dated roadmap, and I think it really tells the tale that they have identified the 4 segments in which they want to develop a device for annually. So Chen had his devices this year. We had the Z3, we had the Passport, we have the Classic. That 4th device is kind of a little bit in lingo, kind of evasive. But coming next year, however, he's going to have his ability to come out with 4 strong devices for the different divisions. So, which is, the emerging markets, the enterprise medical thing, the all-touch, you know what I mean, and the high-end luxury device. So coming next year, it wouldn't surprise me if we see the all-touch, which is probably the successor to the Z30. Which would probably try to leverage all the people who purchase Z10 devices, try to get them on the next all-touch, high-end all-touch. And I think a lot of them are waiting for that next all-touch as well. A lot of people with the Z10 devices are waiting for that. So,
and interestingly, waiting patiently as well. They're like, you know what, my Z10's good right now. I'm not feeling any type of way about it.
I tell you, man, when that 10.3.1 comes out, it's gonna definitely give second wind to all those Q10, Z10, Q5 owners.
Absolutely. Yeah. It'll finally have the phone at a place where it's actually competitive in the industry with which it sits. I mean, when 10.0 first came out with the Z10, I mean, we all know it was kind of like a hodgepodge of different built apps from different frameworks. Adobe Air was latent throughout in settings and in the browser, and it's gotten refined so much over time. I really love the Cascades UI and how it as well has grown with the service offering that BlackBerry's been going forward. I'm really excited for BBM meetings as well. If any station that you have to dethrone WebEx as a kind of voice video conference, and then keep in mind that the Passport with amazing speakerphone and a really nice BlackBerry sound technology, they kind of do want to leverage this device slowly into taking over a conference room phone. You set the phone down in the middle, and everyone can speak at once, and it understands and adapts to that. So just really cool overall. I would like to see some type of Z30 successor. As Jubei had mentioned, there are a lot of users waiting on some type of device to actually follow up. Maybe, as you had mentioned, that they're going to go for a luxury line, maybe we'll finally see a Porsche design Z30,
Oh
which is what
man.
we...
Whew. That
Right.
would make sense. That would make sense.
Maybe too much sense.
Yeah, now I won't get myself excited for a possible cutting edge Porsche design phone. They seem to be a bit year and a half late, whatever it is that they come out with. But
I don't know, call it late, but you get 10.3 and Blend before the Passport even came out, so...
yeah.
Ooh.
Especially, all these people there that, we usually stay on top of these leaks and these latest updates and stuff that become available, and we sideload whatever it is that we need. But, we got to keep in mind that the majority of BlackBerry users don't have access. There's an enormous amount of people, almost all of them. We represent a very small percentile. People still on 10.2.1. And that jump to 10.3.1 is going to be incredible for them, and that's between that and with Blend and with meetings, I think it's going to be an awesome holiday season.
And it's crazy that the BBM team has been so worked. I mean, they brought Windows Phone out. They've updated it out of beta with even more features. They've got a new beta rolling right now for it. They've got an open beta across all devices, which brings in a new sticker picker, HQ images without having to request them. It's just awesome. They're really working their tails off. And they're bringing BBM Meetings, which is allegedly like Blend, a cross-platform, multi-device BBM desktop type suite that allows you
I want to say, though, for all the listeners, watchers out there, that we haven't seen a substantial BBM update in a long time.
Yeah.
And the reason why, and Brandon's article touches on this, is that they've been working on their secret weapon, which is this BBM Meetings. That's going to revolutionize BBM entirely. So,
having said that, though, it looks like that's going to be enterprise only. So, hopefully, there's some goodies in there for the consumer side as well.
yeah.
And part of those goodies have to be rebranding or at least rebuilding for iOS and Android to play against their UI guidelines.
Yeah.
So, let's go over to Alex here. He's going to show off the new sticker picker for BBM, which is new in this update, along with HQ downloads, and you'll see it here. Alex, zoom in on that for us.
Yeah, so I mean, this isn't like the highest quality image. Actually, Brandon was the one that sent it in our group.
Yeah,
But
and I got it.
yeah, you can explain it because you
from
understand it
somewhere else,
better, right? You said they're like the recent packs or whatever.
Yeah, I got it from BB Savior. He's from France. I forget what the name of his blog is, but he's at BB Savior on Twitter. And this is just basically what you're seeing here is the sticker picker, where you can kind of scroll through the stickers at the top there and pick them off. I'm not sure if you can delete sticker packs yet or whatnot, or uninstall sticker packs, but I mean, this is progress in terms of...
Yeah.
Now, those that I
that.
see there on that BBM, what we see right now, Alex, are those ones that you select to be in there, or does the device, does BBM learn which one to use the most and automatically
Yeah,
place them there?
from what I heard, I think it's like the most recent one that you use brings it to the front of the list. So it's like I just use this prior, that prior. So it might just be like
Okay.
that, which is fine because then the sticker picks that I would say want to delete, I would really never be using them, so it would push it all the way to the back anyways. But I mean, I'm assuming that's what it does. I don't know, I haven't actually used it. But they're
Yeah.
listening to us, and that's the important part. Even the HQ pictures, I've had to explain to a lot of my family and friends, all right, I'm going to send you a picture. You need to hold down and request HQ if you want the high quality picture of it.
Right.
And then they wonder like, why the heck do you have to do that? And I explain it's for bandwidth or data issues. It's smart in that regard that I could,
Yeah.
if I want to just send you a quick picture that'll use 30 kilobytes, won't use up your data, just to give you an idea of what I'm trying to say about something. Why should I have to send you an 11 megabyte file from the passport picture taker or
Now,
the
do any of you
camera?
guys know that's going to be a permanent thing, or is it going to be an option?
It's going to be an
Because-
option.
It's an option.
Okay.
Yep.
Because personally, I love not receiving
Same here,
HQ
yep.
pictures. I see what people usually send things that I don't care to save. I just great. And whenever I see something incredible, like that's a great image, I'll request it. So That's
Yeah,
good to
I'm
know.
going to, put it on my
Yeah.
mom's phone, for instance, my aunt's phone. I will flip it so it's on.
Hmm.
But I'm the kind of person where I will actually get 20 images a day from various things. Someone just sending me a stupid screenshot just to laugh or whatever. I don't need the HQ to all of that. I don't
Mhm.
need to use the data or the bandwidth. So I think that's
Anybody,
another.
anybody got time for HQ?
No,
Come on.
this is a perfect example. They're setting the levels of like how comfortable you are with the OS. It's just like the new Windows 10 update. They're adding some utility features in there that only the hardcore Windows users will be able to utilize. So BlackBerry's kind of doing this, and this is just what BlackBerry's has been about for a while. They have these hardcore features that people who have using the device for 2 years, they learn it exists, and they had no idea, and they're like, "This is awesome." So this is
Yeah.
just another one of those things.
I think the HQ picture transfer is more of an answer to the fact that it's really difficult for someone who just downloaded BBM and is using it to ever find
Yep,
the option to request an HQ image. Like I
exactly.
I told my girlfriend that you can request HQ images. If I hadn't told her, there's no documentation or anything on the BBM download page or anything that even talks about it. So I mean, they're kind of between a rock and a hard place. They got to add it, otherwise, and then it's better to add it so that people can later choose for lower quality if they want.
Question that you guys are developers, is it possible for the BBM team to implement something visual? So when someone sends an image over BBM, next to the image,
Just a
it,
request HQ
it
button.
says, would you
Yeah,
like this image in high quality?
See,
yeah,
they definitely like that's
definitely
right off the bat.
possible.
Yeah, but you need to think of it. They really want to try and keep consistent the OS. So when you click and hold down on something, what that is doing is you're actioning. You're doing an action on what you're holding down on, and that's like just BlackBerry 10 in general. So I think they could do that, but it might be like the hardcore programmer saying, if we're keeping consistent with the guidelines, this is how it should be,
Hmm.
and it might just be like that, and that's where this whole toggle switch kind of came into existence. I'm sure, yeah, they could have done that a long time ago, but
Long
you know,
press
Yeah,
everything on
just
BB10.
like
You
yeah,
never
just
know
literally,
what'll happen.
honestly, try it.
yeah,
That's the best advice.
just
If
like
you
one
don't
of
know
the
how to do
older
something long press on it, it'll probably work.
just like one of the old older BBM betas had in BBM groups, you could actually put in chat pictures.
Yeah,
That was done, and they took it out for fluidity, I guess, for the flow, for issues with flow using
yeah,
the app and stuff like that. I personally didn't think it was an issue
no,
based on what I saw. I would have loved it. I know lots of people that would have loved it, but there's also some people who are very vocal and don't like it. I think James doesn't like the flow about it
Don't do
either.
yeah,
it. Don't
yeah.
do
I
it.
mean, well, yeah, they
What
were
what I
saying,
would what I would love,
yeah,
and I just got to speak on this a little bit
yeah,
because it's such a pain point for me. I, they have siloed experience right now where photos and the conversations they're in are all
mhm,
siloed off into an album. So everything's organized. You post a photo and you know that all the conversation on that photo is going to be happening in the comments on that photo. When you put it in line in a conversation, some of the conversation will be put into the
exactly.
discussion thread
Yeah,
and some of it makes it over to the actual album. So you're
yeah,
almost invalidating the service proposition that you have with the segmentation. So it's like do it one way or do it the other way, but don't do both.
Yeah,
yeah.
What I would
I
also
guess,
like is
yeah.
just a way to have context. So if you tap on someone's BBM status in the feeds, it'll actually quote their status so that you can add context as to why you're sending this message.
I
I
think.
would love that inside BBM groups so that if I'm
Oh,
commenting on
groups.
a link, I can tap on the
oh,
link,
okay,
type a
okay,
Mm,
reply on the link, and have the link referenced within my comments. I think that would be
yeah.
great to add just a layered, kind of better threaded conversation flow for BBM groups, which again is a
Hmm.
work tool for many, many people just to stay quickly communicated. Jubei, what is some of the things you want from BBM? You mentioned that there really hasn't been a substantial update for BBM. What are you guys looking for at this point now that we have a little bit of sense of what they're bringing forward?
My main thing with BBM right now would be channels. Channels, I wrote a piece on this on N4BB, a big list. Channels needs a substantial update, and it has an incredible amount of potential. I know that the team is working on different things. I don't know where channel sits. I know update is coming, and I know it's on the back burner. The BBM team does have their prioritized list. things to tack on moving forward. So, you know, personally, I would say that channels is probably the number one thing for me because last week you mentioned how it's just kind of like it takes the best of everything and puts it together, and it's integrated within the BBM messaging app, and it's brilliant. And the potential that channels has is enormous, and um, there hasn't been an update in months for it. So, for myself, it'd be great to see something come along somewhere before the end of the year for channels, but I don't know how. That's probably unlikely. But out of all the BBM stuff, I know I'm looking forward to like BBM Money and things like that. But having an update for channels for it to be where it should be would be amazing.
Right. Roll out BBM Money and shortly after update BBM channels to work with BBM Money. Makes sense. Let's do it.
I'd like some of your opinion on BBM Money because I'm thinking about it more and more, and I'm starting to think of, BBM Money is maybe kind of targeting more of that PayPal type of crowd instead of, the Apple Pay type of crowd. Because the way I view BBM Money and what I've heard and what we've heard about it is that basically it's a way that you can transfer funds wirelessly through messaging someone on BBM or whatnot. And it doesn't seem like it's directly kind of like a wallet, like a Google Wallet per se on your phone.
I can definitely speak on this. There are two announcements coming following the announcement on the Inside BlackBerry blog. There is Transfer 2 integration, which is a lot like Glimpse integration, where they're taking an existing peer-to-peer service and plumbing it into BBM. So you're able to create a Transfer 2 account, connect it into your BBM, and send funds direct, like PayPal. That's Transfer 2. That's airtime remittance across the country. PayPal sometimes has regional restrictions, so you can't always get your money where you want it to go without heavy taxes, etc. Yeah. So airtime remittance is one thing. BBM Money, however, is connected directly to your local bank, and right now it's essentially only in Indonesia. With that, you are able to use it as a payment service in specific places that support BBM Money. So again, not too many places, but you can use it to deduct directly from your bank account through BBM. Kind of like Apple Pay.
For something, and I think Kevin last week spoke about this, and I think it deserves a little bit of attention, is that Apple Pay works with credit, and BBM Money works with banks. And I think that's a critical difference because we have our money stored in banks, and the idea of BBM Money essentially cuts out the middleman. Because like when Brandon mentioned, like, is it the PayPal crowd or is it the whatever Apple's offering? What is it called? iWallet?
Apple Pay.
Apple Pay. That's right.
Basically, the most simple way you'd imagine it to be named.
Right. So.
Apple Pay, yes, you will.
Yeah, you're only going to be able to buy new Apple products using Apple Pay in their store soon.
And that's what gets me too. You build NFC, a fabulous near-field communication technology, into your phone, and you limit it to Apple Pay.
So it's like when you have an issue financially, you deal with it with your local bank. When you have if something ever happens security-wise or financially with the Apple Pay, I wonder what kind of nightmare situation. Because it's like, all right, was it the software problem? Was it a bank problem? Was it a merchant problem? Is it a bank problem? There are a lot of.
Did my phone charge me? Yeah, did my phone charge me 3 times, or did my bank accept the payment or charge 3 times?
Right.
What spectrum does it land on?
It's great because John Sims did tell me in person, he's like, listen, BBM Money is not going to move forward without partnerships with the banks because the banks is where it's at. It's like, well, with the BBM Money, I seriously doubt there'll be a security issue or any kind of issue with just BlackBerry on their end. Possibility, I don't know. But if there's any issue, it's simple. You call your local bank. That's it. Done. There's no delay. There's no middleman. There's no different, people that you got to, you don't have to make 4 or 5 different phone calls to different people to deal with one purchase if anything goes wrong. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like personally, in my experience, I never use my debit card anywhere. just because whenever you use your debit card, if it gets compromised, you're basically in a lot of trouble because someone can really take all your money in your bank account. Whereas if you use a credit card or
Yeah.
something, then you're dealing with the bank, with the credit card company, and they have their own insurance that deals with it right there, and you're a lot more protected in a sense, in that sense, in terms of credit card fraud, obviously credit card fraud and stuff like that. So, for instance, I purchased a BlackBerry case off of a so-called reputable BlackBerry blog that shall remain
BlackBerry.
nameless. It rhymes with
Smartphoneexperts.com.
it rhymes with track, and that's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, rhymes with trackberry. So anyways, I purchased a case from this website, and next thing I know, someone's like buying half of Nigeria with my credit card,
Oh,
and I'm like, what's going on? So anyways, I had to
This
deal
gentleman
with
was buying up oil fields in Africa.
Exactly. So anyways, I had to deal with the credit card company, and luckily it was my credit card because
yeah.
they have that insurance. So if something happens with them, it's actually their money that's being spent. It's not my own money that's getting spent because they're lending me money to spend on their behalf, and I have to pay them on time unless I pay interest. So in that sense, it puts the onus on the credit card company to kind of deal with it and have that insurance set up. Whereas if it was my debit card and I had lost my money that way and had gotten it stolen that way, it would have been my own money that would have been taken, and it would have been gone for good. And then you'd have to deal with your bank, and they might or might not be able to reimburse you based on the insurance that they have.
Yeah, so where does BlackBerry money or BBM money stand in this? Because I agree with Brandon. Like, I use my credit card for everything because I know it's safer than carrying tons of money with me, for instance. If someone steals my credit card, so if we are saying it's tied directly into the bank, that's great. Like, it really is a good option, but I would also like it to be tied in with a credit card so I wouldn't have to carry my credit card around and still use it and have that security. So I don't know. Is it the
Well, I
same
think there's
thing,
a
or
huge difference between smartphone experts and then like BlackBerry handling the
Yeah.
data and encryption. As
Yeah.
far as
I would definitely have a more peace of mind using my debit card with BlackBerry security behind
that's
it.
true?
I would like to see maybe I would like to see maybe something a bit more than just that BlackBerry connection between the banks. I'd also like BlackBerry to maybe work with credit card companies as well.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that
Which I'm
option.
sure that's just part of
Yeah,
it that'll come.
exactly.
So
I mean, most credit cards are done through banks anyways, so who's to know whether that's coming or not in terms of BBM money?
And we've talked about it before. I mean, look who just hopped on, Mr.
Whoa.
Ronell. We'll integrate him into the conversation about BBM money. But we've talked about it before that when you are swiping your Visa, when you are putting Apple Pay to your credit card, Mastercard, Visa, whatever, BlackBerry with QNX is behind the scenes running those financial servers, which are actually taking that transition and making it an actionable item to your bank account. So. I mean, when we look at it, one way or another, BlackBerry has their hand in mobile transactions. It's how can they elevate that and connect it with BBM. I think channels, as we've mentioned, is a great venue to do that. Bring brands on to actually sell direct to users through BBM. Allow me to pay directly in BBM as I would for an application in BlackBerry App World. Make it seamless, make it integrated, and allow me to connect with PayPal, my credit cards, and or a transfer type of solution. I think that would be awesome. And now PayPal is its own company, so
Yeah, big news.
who knows what may happen there. Supposedly they've signed on a deal with Samsung, which kind of voids them from working with Apple. But who knows? Someone may swoop in with an offer for them and integrate the service directly. We don't know at this point. It'd be interesting to see. Ronell, are you available at this point? How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Just got back home, so just
Selling lots of passports, eh?
Yeah, man. What?
Tell me about some of the experience you have in store. We had mentioned, and you showed us a picture that you're actually putting out a laptop and showing off BlackBerry Blend in store. I know there's some things you obviously can't talk about as per your process, but what's it like out there over in Canada at the store level?
There's actually a lot of hype. A lot of people are interested about the device, and um, nowadays a lot of people make and do their research online in terms of researching and trying to find out about the device. And even with some of those bad reviews that have been going around, people are still wanting to take a look and see what the size of the device is. Can I fit in my pocket? So definitely 100%. There's a lot of interest. Um, Pretty positive, I would say. I think BlackBerry's doing a great job.
I'm definitely excited about it. How about Blend? How do you go from showing you a weird, crazy, cool device to saying, oh, as well, this thing connects to all your type of other mobile devices, be it laptop and or tablet? How does the conversation go, and are people impressed with it?
It's pretty easy. I mean, once you're done showing the awesome device, you transfer on to, okay, well, at the end of the day, or you're at work, you have to put your BlackBerry down. So, I say, okay, advanced interactions, you flip your phone down, it goes to sleep. Now, say you're at home and you're relaxing, or you're at work and you're transferring over to a desktop computer, you get your notifications, you get your whole BlackBerry experience on your computer. Basically, you have access to all your content, and you're able to, reply and create emails, and you don't have to be at right beside or inside your phone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And showing it in store right there in front of them. I mean, that's got to be such a big seller. It's like, wow, I'm already amazed by this device, and now it offers me this extended service utility as well. And I know you're kicking butt out there, making sure people are really seeing BlackBerry for what it does offer today. So awesome. It's great to hear, Ronald.
100%, definitely, definitely.
Brandon, you see passports in Toronto in the wild yet, or
I
not quite?
haven't been to Toronto since the passport launched.
Oh.
I'll tell you though. I'll tell you, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and half the people I've seen up in this small town have BlackBerry 10 devices. So
Ooh.
I don't know.
Chen made a big stink about like owning Canada. If
Yeah.
we can't get our home team behind us, there's a bigger problem we need to address. So it's great that you're mentioning, that Blackberries are still prolific throughout the area. I'm over here in Florida where you wouldn't expect to see any, and I still see people with them all the time. A lot of legacy devices. So I'm definitely hoping Classic is like, wake up, come on, move on over. And again, it's going to come down, at least in my sense, to the pricing of that device. If you're selling a 9900 for 400 on Shop BlackBerry and a Classic for 350, I mean, come on. There has to be a point and a breaking point where you say, let me try this new experience, save a little money, and find out what BlackBerry is really offering today in 2014.
I'm not as worried about BlackBerry pricing as I was in the past. Seeing how they handled this passport launch, the crazy specs this thing has, and then the price point they chose, I think, they mean business. They're not going to release the Classic and have it at the wrong price tier because they realize how important this opportunity is to get people from Legacy onto BlackBerry 10.
So
Well, yeah, even
important.
on the dated roadmap, they had the BlackBerry Classic kind of listed there as the affordable
Yeah.
option for enterprise. So they price it, in that 350 range. Already winning.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
it's
though?
just-
Like I will say the passport was kind of positioned as kind of being in that not too expensive but not too cheap kind of price range. Yet everybody who's bought the passport has been paying over $600 usually after taxes and stuff. So I'm not so sure on the price range type of price range comment.
But it kind of really puts in
Yeah.
perception, how much did the Z10 retail for when it first launched?
That's the thing. I think the Z10 retailed for $700, and it's like Passport day one was $100 cheaper. So you take a Z10, which is a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz, 2 gigs of RAM, decent screen, and then you put the Passport, $100 cheaper, quad-core, 3 gigs of RAM, I think like 3 times the battery life. Like it's no competition. And yet Chen, it's all about the management. They seem to really grasp the market and what they're willing to pay for these devices. So kudos to them for really rolling out a device stringently to these different markets.
Anything else?
Right, we've gone for longer. We've gone for like an hour and a half right now. I think that's everything we needed to cover. Is there anything else particular?
Let's see what does Ronell have any last few words?
I know, kind of.
No, I guess not.
Ronell, do tell me about this. Passport accessories. In store, are there a lot of options for people? Do they ask about it? Where do you direct them?
There is. As far as I know, there is the flip case, the hard shell case, and there's a gel case, which I've seen personally, tried it out. A lot of people are actually, not a lot, a few of them asked about the availability, and I think in time, as time goes on, hopefully more manufacturers will get into it. Whoa. But other than that, not too much.
Oh,
No,
boy.
you'll have to kill us if you tell us. I know that.
Yeah.
Oh man, these Google effects are just the worst. Look at you, Bay. I'm gonna walk on him for a second. Looks cold, buddy. Is it? What's New York like right now? Like, it's actually getting kind of cold in Florida. How's it over there?
It's getting cool, man, but it's nice. I love the fall. It's
Just
like
fresh, crisp air. I know, right?
this is what our conversation. This is what the podcast has come down to.
Yeah, no, I think this means we've gone too far. Like, we're on there too long. I think this is the first. I do want to give us props, though. I think this is the first time we've used Google Effects throughout, like, any BerryFlow stream. And every other podcast, episode number 1 is where all the effects are being played with and everything. So we made it a full season before we did it. So I think we should pat ourselves on the back.
Right, season 2, we graduated. I mean, we're on to the new. But no, let's talk just a little bit about what we're hearing for 10.3 subsequent OS releases. So at least what I've heard internally is that there will be builds of 10.3.2 and 10.3.3. They're actually going to focus on core aspects of evolving the BlackBerry OS experience. So I heard 10.3.3 was really going to work on the Android runtime and making lots of improvements and integrations. The thing is, will we see this OS update as a standalone update, or will it be just kind of an internal build numerical archive for them? Have you guys heard anything about subsequent OS releases? Are we moving to 10.4? Is that already in the pike?
Yeah, at the very least, look at what they've done in the past, and have we gone past? I guess 10.2.2 was the only time we saw a .2 release, like a 10.2, like the subsequent .2. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't necessarily see them going to 10.3. Oh man, this is confusing. 10.3.3. I think it might be like 10.2.2, and they'll then go to 10.4, but who knows? I guess they're so new of an OS still, even though they're only a few years old. So they could be change the scheming behind it a lot.
It's interesting as well.
Names.
The whole schedule seems. Yeah, I would love names.
Yeah.
I also am noticing it seems that they're going for a one OS a year type thing, instead of like we're giving you an update here, an update here, an update here. First year of BlackBerry 10, it got like 4 updates. So now it seems they're spacing out some of those updates and really working to make every update more impactful than the next. Brandon, what do you think on subsequent OS releases?
I just see this going downhill.
I didn't know what that did. Yeah, I think after 10.3.1, we're gonna see it go towards, guys, this is serious. I think we're gonna go towards OS 11, and then.
I'm done. Did you just say BB11?
Yeah, I think it's gonna go down to like BB. It's gonna go to BB11, man, after 3.1. I think 10's gonna be like, you know what, this needs a new OS. This needs like we need to start off like a new fresh slate. Let's do it. Let's name it.
BB11 is like the most stale name they could give.
They're gonna name BB11 Blackberry Forest. Calling it here. All right, guys.
Blackberry Forest?
Blackberry Forest.
Forest? Where do you get that from?
Because there's so many possibilities that can happen in the forest, man. Just think about it.
It's hard to think and see you as a pirate at the same time.
You can grab resources. You can do some trade in there. You never know.
I think we've definitely gone too far. Should we,
The
yeah.
pirate is talking about the forest. I can't even. I cannot even. Ronell, have you any expectations as per subsequent releases of BlackBerry 10? Do you feel that they're gonna push some kind of rebranding later on in the OS life cycle, or do you think they're gonna continue with the numerical push forward?
Definitely numerical. I don't think they want to make a huge shift. I mean, with the passport, if they wanted to do a rebranding, they would have done it with the passport. But
Yeah.
since they're putting so much behind the passport and 10.3 and then 10.3.1 going forward with Classic, I'm pretty sure they're gonna keep the numerics for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jubei, close it out for us. We had your article that we did talking about some of the media. We don't need to mention some of those names who responded to the media, but the article in general and kind of the conversation and dialogue that was had within the comments, I thought it was pretty positive to see a lot of people resonating with the article. Why do you think so many people were able to kind of get what you were saying?
You know, I don't think anyone. I didn't have any idea that anyone was gonna like that many people were gonna read it and it was gonna be shared that many times. I mean, it was shared just hundreds of times, and you even got picked up and mirrored, in different places. And I, I got comments on my channel. People were saying like, it's about time someone tells it how it is. Someone tells the truth, the reality of where the media is now, nowadays. And it was encouraging to see that even in the other sites that reported off of what I've written, um, that a lot of people agreed. There wasn't anything there that they didn't necessarily agree with. I think that overall the sentiment is that um, because essentially the heart of what I wrote was just where has the integrity of tech bloggers gone when they receive a revolutionary device, trying to immerse themselves with the product and the service and try to its own merits and not pitched against, superficially against whatever their favorite product is, because it's different. It's not the same thing. And it was great. I mean, the response has been tremendous. It was encouraging to see so many people, like you said, they resonated with the message behind it, and um, it was just very, just very interesting. It was a very intense, like 2 or 3 days there for me, getting so many emails, so many messages, and from everywhere of people thanking me for writing it, and
And even
not,
even a few haters, along the way.
um, you know, speaking of hating, there was one particular member when I was writing for Crackberry who hated my guts. And we're talking about people that don't really know me, but they just see whatever online persona I have. And so, whether it's the style that I write or whatever message I'm trying to convey, that they really connect with. But there was one Crackberry reader who literally came out of his way, found my channel, and messaged me and said, "Listen, I don't know if you remember me, but I used to hate you and troll on you on Crackberry." And I remembered him. I said, I remember you. And he said, "Listen, I just want to let you know that the last thing that you wrote, the editorial on the passport versus the media, I really connected with. And I feel bad for hating on you for so long. And I just want to let you know that you were right. You were always right about what you wrote." And I know that James and I, we have like this kind of visionary thing when it comes to BlackBerry, where we see things before they happen. And a lot of
Right.
people are like, "Oh, the." And so I was accused, when I was writing over at Crackberry, for wearing the, rose-colored
Rose-colored
glasses,
glasses, right?
and for being positive, because I anticipated where we are now then, and I wrote about it then. So it was just really nice for him to come around and to just, tell me that he connected with it and that he's sorry for any trolling that he might have done. And, I thanked him. I said, "That's awesome that you found me. I really appreciate your response." And those are one of the many stories in the last few days that has transpired that I've really enjoyed and really encouraged me to continue writing about topics that people care about and talk about issues that people want to hear. And
Speaking on issues that people want to hear, when are we all going to KFC? This is big for me. I know Ronell wants to go really bad. He's all about it.
There's a divide in the BerryFlow crew between KFC or Popeyes. I personally
There's no
like
divide.
KFC.
There's no divide.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a divide, I guess. Why Popeyes?
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten at a Popeyes before?
New Orleans, that's like where Popeyes originated, and it is so good there. We have one by us in Buffalo that just opened up somewhat recently, and it's not as good. But when you go to like New Orleans and you get some Popeyes, we had that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was phenomenal.
No spinach whatsoever.
Yeah.
Do we have Popeye stickers in BBM? I think we do.
Yeah, we do.
Nice.
But isn't that like a different? You just
It
bridged
is.
the gap. I can use my brain.
Let's talk about BBM again. No, but I really appreciate having all you guys on. Ronell, I know you caught the tail end, but it was nice to have a little bit of your input on some of the sales side and what's going on over there in Canada. So thank you for coming on for us.
No
Really
problem, no
quick.
problem.
Really quick. I don't mean to like cut this off, but I figure there's probably a good opportunity if people actually stayed on and watched this far. I just pushed out an update for my app for the first time in like 6 or 7 months, and now it has passport support and so stay tuned. It's web design cheat sheet, and it'll be out soon. That's all. Sorry.
You should have put that in the beginning, man.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care that much.
No, your app's amazing, and I saw some of your updates on it. I'll definitely push that to the channel so those watching have a direct link to go check it out. But Jubei, Brandon, Alex, Ronell, always a pleasure to have you guys on. Season 2, we're finally in it, second
Feels
quarter.
good.
Yeah, I'm excited for this next quarter. BlackBerry just continuing to kill it on these market earnings reports and things like that, bringing in solid new devices and services. We've got a lot of great articles and content on BerryFlow, so continue to check it out. Let us know what you want to hear, and we'll bring it. And by we, I mean I'll tell Alex to do it.
Okay, we have to end this now.
All right, guys, you have a good rest of your night. Thanks for watching.
All right, later.
Take it easy.